He had June make calls to his contacts in Atlanta, not law enforcement but the kind of people who operated in the spaces between. By midnight, Kayla's mother had 3 armed guards outside her apartment, all of them ex-military contractors Tae-hyung paid extremely well to ask no questions. But Mingyu was already moving. The call came at 2 a.m. An electronically distorted voice. Tae-hyung Kim. You have something that belongs to me, my territory, my business, my future. And you've complicated things by falling in love. So here's the deal. Meet me at the Incheon port Dock 7 tomorrow night. Come alone. Or the woman's family dies, starting with her mother. The line went dead. Kayla, listening from across the room, looked ready to break something. He's using me to get to you. It's what I would do, Tae-hyung admitted. It's smart. So what do? We don't walk into his trap. He pulled out his phone and started texting. We spring our own. The next night, Tae-hyung and Kayla arrived at Dock 7 with June and 15 of his best men positioned in the shadows. Shipping containers loomed like steel mountains. The smell of brine and diesel hung in the air. And in the center of it all stood Mingyu Melanov, flanked by 20 of his own soldiers. I said alone, Mingyu called out in Korean accented English. I'm a liar, Tae-hyung replied. You should know that by now. Mingyu smiled. He was younger than Tae-hyung, barely 30, but already controlled half of Seoul's drug trade. Russian father, Korean mother, and absolutely no conscience. Here's how this works, Mingyu said. You give me control of Gangnam. I forget about your girlfriend's murder charge. Everyone walks away alive. Counterproposal, Tae-hyung said. You leave Seoul, I let you keep your life, and I don't tell the Russian mob you've been skimming from their heroin shipments. Mingyu's smile faltered. You're bluffing. Am I? Tae-hyung pulled out his phone and played a recording. Park's voice, detailing how Mingyu had been stealing from his Russian backers. I sent this to Dmitry Volkov this morning. He's very interested to meet you. Mingyu's face went white. The Russians didn't forgive theft. Everyone knew that. You've signed my death warrant, Mingyu hissed. You signed it yourself. I'm just delivering the mail. That's when everything went to hell. One of Mingyu's men panicked and opened fire. Gunshots cracked through the night. Tae-hyung grabbed Kayla and dove behind a shipping container as bullets sparked off metal. June and his crew returned fire, muzzle flashes lighting up the dock like lightning. Stay down, Tae-hyung shouted, shielding Kayla with his body. But Kayla wasn't staying down. She grabbed the gun from his shoulder holster, checked the chamber like she'd done it 1,000 times, and fired 3 shots at a man trying to flank them. All 3 hit center mass. Tae-hyung stared at her. Where did you learn to shoot? My dad was Army. Taught me when I was 12. I told you I'm a survivor. The firefight lasted 3 minutes but felt like hours. When the smoke cleared, 4 of Mingyu's men were dead, 3 more wounded. June had taken a bullet to the shoulder but was still standing. And Mingyu was gone, disappeared into the maze of shipping containers. He's running for the water, June gasped, clutching his bleeding shoulder. Boss, he'll get away. But then Kayla was running, faster than should be possible in boots, chasing Mingyu toward the dock's edge. Tae-hyung followed, heart in his throat. They caught up to Mingyu at the water. He spun around, gun raised, but Kayla was faster. She kicked the weapon from his hand and followed up with a knee to his ribs that dropped him like a stone. That's for threatening my mother, she said coldly. Tae-hyung pulled Mingyu up by his collar. You have 24 hours to leave Korea. If I see you again, I won't be this generous. As police sirens wailed in the distance, June appeared with a phone. Boss, it's the FBI. They want to talk about Kayla. Tae-hyung's blood went cold. But Kayla took the phone calmly. This is Kayla Johnson. Yes, I know who I am. No, I'm not running anymore. If you want to charge me, I'll turn myself in. But I want full disclosure of the Atlanta PD's investigation into Darius Webb's abuse first. And I want protective custody during the trial. There was a long pause. Then Kayla smiled. That's what I thought. Self-defense is pretty clear when you have medical records and 12 witness statements you ignored. So here's my proposal. You close the case, I cooperate with your investigation into international trafficking rings through Seoul, and we all walk away. She hung up. They're sending someone to meet us tomorrow. But they're not pressing charges. Darius's family has been trying to keep the abuse allegations quiet. Bad for their reputation. Tae-hyung pulled her close, kissing her forehead. It's over. You're free. We're free, she corrected. They started walking back to the car, June limping beside them, the dock behind them still smoking from gunfire. For the first time in months, Tae-hyung felt something he'd almost forgotten: peace. That's when the shot rang out. A single crack from somewhere high and far away. Tae-hyung felt the bullet's wind as it passed between him and Kayla, missing both their heads by inches and shattering the windshield of his car. They all dropped to the ground, scanning for the shooter, but there was nothing. Just darkness and the distant sound of a motorcycle speeding away. June's face was grim. Boss, that wasn't Mingyu's people. That was too precise, too professional. Then who? Kayla breathed. Tae-hyung's phone buzzed. Another message from an unknown number. This time just a photo. Kayla's face, crosshairs drawn over it in red. And beneath it, 2 words in Korean. She dies. The message wasn't signed, but it didn't need to be. Somewhere in Seoul's underworld, someone else had decided Kayla was a threat. Or a target. Or both. And this time, Tae-hyung didn't know who was coming for them. Kayla gripped his hand. Tell me we're going to be okay. Tae-hyung looked at her. This woman who'd killed to survive, who'd run across the world to start over, who'd learned to trust him despite every reason not to. This woman he'd fallen in love with despite his curse, despite the danger, despite everything. I don't know, he said honestly. But I know we're not facing it alone anymore. The camera of a security system high above them caught their faces as they stood together, sirens growing closer, an unknown enemy lurking in the shadows. And somewhere in the darkness someone was watching, waiting, planning. To be continued. Will Tae-hyung and Kayla survive the deadly trap? Who can they trust in a world of lies and betrayal? What would you do if someone you loved had a deadly secret? Drop a comment below. Mingyu's people are spreading rumors. They're saying she killed her boyfriend, that the FBI is looking for her. Boss, if you're involved with her, find out everything. I want facts, not rumors. And June? Keep this quiet. Tae-hyung hung up, his hands gripping the steering wheel until his knuckles went white. He'd finally found someone who might understand him, and now the past was coming for both of them. Can trust survive in a world built on secrets? Find out what happens next. Tae-hyung didn't call Kayla for 3 days. He spent those days having June dig into every corner of her life, and what he found made his blood run cold. Kayla Renee Johnson, 24 years old, nursing student just like she said, former resident of Atlanta, Georgia, and wanted for questioning in the death of Darius Webb, her ex-boyfriend, found dead in their apartment 2 years ago with multiple stab wounds. Self-defense, the case files suggested. Witnesses reported years of abuse. But Kayla disappeared before police could close the investigation, and the case went cold. She wasn't just running. She was hiding. On the 4th day, Tae-hyung had June bring her to one of his warehouses in Incheon. Not a threat, just privacy. But when she walked in and saw him waiting in the shadows, her eyes went hard. So this is how it ends, she said, voice steady despite the fear he could see in her clenched fists. You found out. Darius Webb, Tae-hyung said. Tell me the truth. All of it. Kayla laughed, but there was no humor in it. You want the truth? Fine. Darius was my college boyfriend. Charming, ambitious. Everyone loved him. But behind closed doors he was a monster. He hit me, controlled me, told me I was nothing without him. She walked closer, and Tae-hyung could see the old scars now, the ones he'd missed before. Faint lines on her arms. A mark on her collarbone. I tried to leave 6 times. He always found me. The night he died, he came home drunk and angry. Said he was going to kill me this time, really do it. So I grabbed the kitchen knife and I fought back. Her voice cracked. I didn't mean to kill him. I just wanted him to stop. But when he fell and the blood started pooling, I realized no one would believe me. A black woman killing her white medical student boyfriend? I'd be convicted before the trial started. So you ran. I ran. Changed my name, changed my life. Came to Korea where no one knew me. Built something new. And now you're going to destroy it all. Tae-hyung moved closer until they were inches apart. I'm not going to destroy anything. But I need to know. Is anyone else looking for you? Not that I know of. The case went cold. His family thinks I'm dead or in Mexico. But if your people found out. Mingyu Melanov found out, Tae-hyung said grimly. My rival. He's been circulating information trying to use you to get to me. If he knows, others will know soon. Kayla's face went pale. Then I need to disappear again. No. Tae-hyung grabbed her hand, the first real touch between them. No more running. We face this together. Why would you help me? You barely know me. Because I know what it's like to be punished for something you can't control, he said. Because you didn't deserve what happened to you. And because... He stopped, the words catching in his throat. Because what? Because I think I'm falling in love with you. And I've never said that to anyone before. The warehouse went silent except for their breathing. Then Kayla was kissing him, desperate and fierce, and Tae-hyung was kissing back. And for the first time in his life, intimacy didn't feel like a curse but a promise. When they finally broke apart, Kayla was crying. I killed him, Tae-hyung. I took a life. So have I, he said quietly. More than one. The difference is you did it to survive. That's not murder. That's justice. But their moment was shattered by June bursting through the warehouse door, phone in hand. Boss, we've got a situation. Someone leaked photos of you and Kayla together. They're on Mingyu's desk right now and he's making calls. Also, June hesitated. There's a leak in our organization. Someone's been skimming money and feeding information to the Russians. Tae-hyung's jaw clenched. Who? Park. Your accountant. He's been working with Mingyu for months. Betrayal from inside. Threats from outside. And now Kayla's past was a weapon aimed directly at both of them. We need to move fast, Tae-hyung said. June, find Park and bring him to me. Quietly. As for Mingyu, it's time we had a conversation. He turned to Kayla. You're staying with me until this is resolved. No arguments. If they're coming for you, they'll have to go through me first. I can take care of myself, Kayla said. I know you can. But you don't have to anymore. As they left the warehouse, Tae-hyung's phone buzzed with a message from an unknown number. Just 2 words. Checkmate. Attached was a photo of Kayla's mother in Atlanta, standing outside her apartment, unaware of the camera. The threats weren't theoretical anymore. They were here, targeting everyone Tae-hyung and Kayla loved. And somewhere in Seoul's neon-lit shadows, Mingyu Melanov was smiling. Will Kayla's past destroy what they're building together? Keep watching to see what happens next. The next 48 hours moved like a knife fight in the dark. Tae-hyung's people found Park, the accountant, trying to board a flight to Vladivostok. The interrogation was brief and brutal. Park confessed to everything. Selling information to Mingyu, skimming money from shipments, even revealing the locations of Tae-hyung's safe houses. He said he'd make me rich, Park sobbed, blood running from his broken nose. Said you were finished anyway, that Mingyu was taking over Seoul. Tae-hyung pistol whipped him one more time. Then had June lock him in the basement of the Golden Tiger. He'd deal with that betrayal later. Right now, Kayla's family was in danger. The accuracy of her words hit Tae-hyung like a knife to the ribs. How could this stranger see through walls he'd spent years building? She stood up. Your 5 minutes are up. Wait. Tae-hyung pulled out his wallet and extracted a black card. Tomorrow night. Dinner. Anywhere you want. No strings, no expectations. Just conversation. Kayla looked at the card, then at him. For a moment he saw something flicker in her eyes. Curiosity, maybe even longing. You don't know what you're asking for, she said quietly. Try me. She took the card, her fingers brushing his for half a second. The contact sent electricity through his veins. One dinner. But I picked the place and we split the check. I don't owe anyone anything. Deal. As she walked away, Tae-hyung felt something he hadn't felt in months. Hope. Dangerous, reckless hope that maybe, just maybe, this woman could be different. He had no idea how right he was or how deadly that difference would become. Will Tae-hyung finally find someone who understands him? Keep watching to find out. Kayla chose a restaurant in Itaewon that Tae-hyung had never heard of, which was saying something. He knew every establishment worth knowing in Seoul. This place was hidden on a 4th-floor walk-up. accessible only through an unmarked door between a convenience store and a noribang. When he arrived, she was already seated by the window, wearing a simple black dress that probably cost nothing and looked like everything. No makeup, hair natural, and somehow even more beautiful than under Eclipse's lights. "You're late," she said as he sat down. "Traffic." "Liar. You were circling the block, deciding whether to come in." Tae-hyung smiled. "You're observant. Like I said, it's how I survive." The owner brought them soju and grilled mackerel without being asked. Kayla ordered in perfect Korean, and Tae-hyung raised an eyebrow. "You've been here 3 months and you speak like a native?" "For years, actually. I studied in Busan before Seoul." She poured them both shots. "I'm not just a stripper, Tae-hyung. I'm a third-year nursing student at Yonsei. Eclipse is how I pay tuition without loans." "Why nursing?" "Because I want to save people." Her voice went quiet. "I've seen enough death. Time to balance the scales." There was a story there, dark and deep, but Tae-hyung didn't push. Not yet. They talked for 2 hours. She told him about growing up in Atlanta, about her mother who worked 3 jobs, about dreams of opening a clinic for people who couldn't afford healthcare. He told her about building his organization from his father's gambling debts, about loyalty and betrayal, about the weight of being responsible for 500 families. "You're not what I expected," Kayla said, pouring another round. "What did you expect?" "A monster." "That's what everyone says." Tae-hyung Kim, the devil of Gangnam. "But you're just a man carrying too much weight." "Monsters and men aren't that different," he said quietly. "Sometimes the only difference is who's telling the story." Kayla's eyes softened. "That's the truest thing anyone said to me in years." The conversation shifted, became more personal, more vulnerable. Tae-hyung found himself talking about his problem. Not explicitly, but dancing around it. The fear of intimacy. The repeated rejections. The loneliness that money couldn't cure. "I have a condition," he finally said, the words like broken glass in his throat. "Physical. Rare. It makes intimacy complicated. Painful for partners. Everyone leaves." Kayla didn't flinch. "Everyone. Everyone. That's a lot of people to carry around." She reached across the table, her hand hovering near his but not touching. "What if intimacy isn't just physical? What if trust is the first step?" "I don't know how to trust anymore." "Neither do I," she admitted. "But maybe we can figure it out together. No expectations. No timeline. Just honesty." Tae-hyung felt something crack open inside him. This woman, this stranger, was offering him something no one else had: patience. As they left the restaurant, walking through Itaewon's neon-lit streets, Tae-hyung's phone buzzed. "June's third call tonight." He ignored it. "Your people need you," Kayla observed. "They always need me. Tonight I need this." She smiled, and it was like sunrise breaking through storm clouds. But as they walked, Tae-hyung noticed small things. The way she checked over her shoulder. The tension in her jaw when a police car passed. The split-second fear in her eyes when someone called out in English. "Kayla, are you running from something?" She stopped walking. For a long moment she didn't answer. When she finally looked at him, her eyes were wells of darkness. "We all run from something, Tae-hyung. The question is whether we run toward something better, or just into new trouble." It wasn't an answer, but it was honest. And honesty, Tae-hyung was learning, might be the most dangerous intimacy of all. That night, as he drove home, his phone finally rang with a call he couldn't ignore. June's voice was strained. "Boss, we've got a problem. Someone's asking questions about an American woman. A woman named Kayla. They're saying she's wanted for murder in Atlanta." The world tilted sideways. "What are you talking about?" "You're perfect, but I can't. I just can't." The crystal tumbler exploded against the floor-to-ceiling window of Tae-hyung's penthouse, whiskey bleeding down the glass like tears. Another woman gathered her designer clothes, hands shaking, eyes wide with something between pity and revulsion. "I'm so sorry. This isn't about you, it's just, I didn't know it would be like this." The door clicked shut. Silence swallowed the room whole. Tae-hyung stood frozen, his reflection staring back at him from that whiskey-stained window. 43 stories above Seoul, surrounded by everything money could buy, and he'd never felt more worthless. That was the 9th woman this year. 9 different excuses that all translated to the same brutal truth. He was damaged goods. His phone vibrated against the marble countertop, Jun's name flashing across the screen. Boss, we've got movement at the Incheon docks. Mingyu's crew is sniffing around our shipment. We need you. Tae-hyung grabbed the phone and hurled it across the room. It smashed against the Basquiat painting that cost him 6 million won. For once, the organization could burn. He was tired of being the man everyone needed but no one could love. He poured another glass of Macallan, hand trembling with rage and humiliation, and let his mind spiral back to where this nightmare started feeling different. 3 days ago, he'd actually had hope. The memory hit him like a bullet. He'd been sitting in his private office at the Golden Tiger Casino, reviewing protection payments and loan collections when Jun walked in with that smirk that always meant trouble. Boss, you need to see this new performer at Eclipse, Jun had said, dropping into the leather chair across from him. I'm telling you, this woman is different. Not interested, Tae-hyung had muttered, not looking up from the ledger showing this month's 7-figure take. Come on, Hyung. You've been locked in here for months. When's the last time you even tried? Last month. Didn't work out. That prosecutor's daughter, what happened? Tae-hyung's jaw had tightened. Same thing that always happens. Jun went quiet. He was one of 4 people who knew about Tae-hyung's problem. The curse that made him look like power incarnate but left him more alone than any man should be. A physical complication so rare, so severe that doctors had no answers and women had no patience. You can't give up, brother. There's someone out there who. Drop it, Jun. But Jun didn't drop it. He spent the next 2 hours insisting they hit Eclipse, the high-end gentlemen's club in Gangnam where Seoul's elite went to forget their problems. Finally, just to shut him up, Tae-hyung agreed. That night, Tae-hyung had walked into Eclipse wearing a black Tom Ford suit that cost more than most people's yearly salary. The place was packed with chaebol heirs and Chinese businessmen. Purple and gold lights pulsed. Music throbbed through the walls. Women moved through the crowd like panthers stalking prey. VIP section, top floor, Jun said, leading him past the regular crowd. Tae-hyung ordered hibiki whiskey and tried to ignore the hollow feeling in his chest. He'd built an empire by 32. He had money, power, respect, politicians in his pocket, and he couldn't keep a woman for more than an hour once clothes started coming off. Then the lights dimmed. A spotlight hit the main stage and the DJ's voice boomed through the speakers in English-accented Korean. Gentlemen, the moment you've been waiting for. The woman who walked out made Tae-hyung forget how to breathe. She moved like silk in water, graceful and unstoppable. Her skin glowed under the stage lights, dark and luminous like polished mahogany. Her body defied gravity and logic in equal measure. But it was her eyes that stopped his heart. They scanned the crowd with the confidence of someone who knew exactly what power she held and didn't apologize for it. That's her, Jun whispered. Kayla. Been here 3 months. Every powerful man in Seoul is trying to get close. She doesn't give anyone the time of day, unless she wants to. Tae-hyung watched her work the pole, defying physics, and something shifted in his chest. Not just lust, though there was plenty of that. Recognition. She had the same look he did. The look of someone who'd survived things that should have broken them. Old eyes in a young face. Battle scars hidden under beauty. When her set ended, she walked off stage and headed straight for the bar. Tae-hyung found himself standing before he realized what he was doing. Boss, where are you going? Jun called after him. Tae-hyung didn't answer. He moved through the crowd, his heart pounding in a way it hadn't in years. When he reached the bar, she was ordering water, her back to him. Can I buy you a real drink? Tae-hyung asked in English. She turned slowly, sizing him up with eyes that missed nothing. When she spoke, her voice was honey and smoke. I don't drink on the clock and I don't do private dances for strangers, if that's what you're thinking. I'm not. Then what do you want? Tae-hyung smiled despite himself. 5 minutes of conversation. That's all. Kayla studied him for a long moment, and he could see her mind working, calculating risk versus reward. Finally, she nodded toward an empty booth in the corner. 5 minutes. Clock's ticking. They sat across from each other, and up close she was even more devastating. But it was her eyes that got him. They were ancient eyes. Eyes that had seen too much too soon. You're Tae-hyung Kim, she said. It wasn't a question. You know who I am. Everyone knows who you are. Question is, why is the most powerful man in Seoul sitting in a strip club looking like someone stole his soul? Tae-hyung laughed, the sound bitter. That obvious? You've got that look. Like you're searching for something you're not sure exists. She leaned back, crossing her arms. Let me guess. You're used to getting everything you want. But there's one thing that keeps slipping through your fingers. You a psychic now? I read people. It's how I survive in this world. She tilted her head. So what is it? More power? More money? Can't be that. Men like you always want what they can't have. And you can't have love. Not real love. Not when everyone's either afraid of you or trying to use you.